Hi, this is Jordana Shakur, and I'm presenting the course PosiPower Ways to Work Effectively with Parents. And we're going to go ahead and get started because there is a lot to cover. So I'm sharing it with you here. I want to make it big for you so you can see it, everything that we're going to be talking about. Oops. There. Okay. PosiPower Ways to Work Effectively with Parents. You're going to see a lot in this training as far as diversity with parents and also with the staff. But we also want to make sure that I'm clear about one important aspect of our PosiPower. Our PosiPower talks about how important it is to be positive. The self-esteem component has been built in all of our trainings. And so we begin with this question: what's good attitude? Most people say a positive attitude. These are the learning objectives. If we were doing this class for 6 hours, which is all of our curriculum is built on a 6 hour, we'll be talking about, all of these things. So we can't cover everything, but I'll just highlight a few things. We're definitely going to be talking about, how children and parents benefit. And we'll talk about how to get parents involved in school activities and academic problems with parents. And because ultimately the goal of Head Start is to get kids ready for their academic life, and how to do well and how and to be successful. We'll talk about how that is done. And then we're going to talk about managing some difficult behaviors, because usually interactions with parents, it's usually related to the child's behavior or how well they're doing or how not so well they're doing, how to make a big difference in the child's life, and then also how to work effectively with parents. That's the overall course. In this particular base right here is that we're talking about the attributes of a PosiTeacher or PosiSocial worker. Social workers, when it comes to parent and family advocacy, it's the social workers that are going into the homes. So they are an integral part of this training. We're going to talk about how Posi kids benefit, and our kids, we hope that they're positive, and kids are. They're naturally positive, and we're going to keep, that positive attitude. So what teachers are doing to keep their room exciting and to keep their involvement with parents exciting. How do parents and families benefit? That's the culmination of this course. But I want to just also talk about this word that we're emphasizing, effectively. Because you can work with parents and not necessarily have a good effect on them. That's the thing about it. How do you have making sure that you have a good effect on the parents, so that there are some deliverables. There is the intent to improve interactions. So the relationship and interactions are successful in producing a desired or intended result. And those are some of the things that will be the result of strategic planning. Some of the the ideas that you all have come up with. What do we need to do? And some of the things are national. What is important to the Head Start program that the outcome should be. And then but ultimately it's also which leads to self-efficacy for children, because the tools and practices that parents are using will improve a child's success. So teachers and parents working together, the ultimate outcome is that children have self-efficacy, that they feel good about themselves and they believe that they can do things and succeed. This little boy here, this is my grandson, and we were reading this book, Stripes. I get the first name of it. I've read it so many times, but he loved this book, and the little girl turns to Stripes, and she doesn't want to eat. Well, she eats certain things is what happens, and what she didn't want to tell that she liked peas or beans or something like that. But anyway, this has been about 5 years ago, but he's about 10 years old. So when we talk about the successful programs, I really took a look at the research done by the Childcare report. And one of the things they talked about, and I've seen this over the years, the importance of having lead teachers who have bachelor's degrees. The higher quality of the educational program, and if it's data driven, it's going to make a difference. So having lead teachers who have bachelor's degrees. When I first started with Head Start, teachers, most of them did not have degrees. We're talking 27, more than years ago. So a lot of the teachers did not have degrees, and they were doing a good job in the sense of really caring and loving the kids and and doing the best they can. And but they didn't know what they didn't know. And so as the demand and the requirement for college degrees, came into play, there was some backlash. I remember the backlash with some of the veteran teachers are like, well, we know what we're doing. All of a sudden, these teachers are coming in here, these teachers, and they have their degrees and they think they know everything. And so there were some clashes there. There's still a little bit of that going on, but overall, people understand. And then there was a mandate put in, and then a lot of the people who were griping about it now have their college degrees, and it's making a difference. Higher quality educational program, data driven. What works? What type of activities, what type of learning styles and skills that kids need to have. They also talk about in this report that hands-on activity, engagement, learning, and problem-solving skills. That it's not just a teacher talking, the teacher telling the kids what to do and so on, and giving instruction, which is all important. But at the same time, the kids have manipulables and they have books and they have strategies that they work among themselves. And I just want to emphasize even with what I do, I have a master's in education, but I'm big on cooperative learning. I think children do well when they also work together as a team. Of course, under the guidance of teachers and. But the other aspect of it is there are a lot of kids. We have a lot of children that are immigrant children, or second, third generations, and parents at home are not speaking English or not speaking English well. But we have children. I live in the Ohio area, Columbus area. We have a large Somali population, so our children are bilingual or learning, I should say, English, and a lot of them are bilingual, but they're still learning the foundation of education. We have all types of students. When my grandchildren go to school, there's 54 different languages that are spoken. And but anyways, when there's a Head Start program, this is the kids that are entering Head Start in elementary are kids of color. And so that has changed over the last few years, depending on where you are with what your Head Start program looks like. But when I was in Kentucky, there were programs that were practically all Hispanic kids. So it's important. Bilingual educators with the bilingual assistance for English second language students. So full-time enrollment better than part-time enrollment. Meaning that, of course, it speaks for itself, but what the end result is that by third grade, the children who went to Head Start full time are doing better. They're reading better. They are, on par with kids who went to, the shiny schools, for lack of a better way of saying it, but the ones the private schools that have all the money and resources and so on, that these Head Start kids with these great teachers who love what they do, these kids are doing well. And then also it's important is good to adequate resources. Of course, excellent resource would be wonderful. Optimal resource would be wonderful. That's just not how Head Start works. Head Start is a poverty-based program. So if there is some additional funding, a lot of times it's coming from communities and from companies that are donating and being a part of it. I've seen some phenomenal Head Start programs that have community engagement with their private sector partners. That's made a big difference. Teacher professional development training, very important in the sense that teachers, Head Start teachers, feeling valued. They are professionals. They are, college educated teachers, and they are not paid what they deserve to be paid. This has been an ongoing issue. But at the same time, the demands and the outcomes, the evaluations are based on, high skills, and I think that's great. At the same time, a whole other issue. I just want to bring that up. One of the things that is important is that they are compensated the way that they should be, because a lot of the requirements now are high skills. But anyway, I just want to tell you that professional development training is a big deal for Head Start. And when I was working on my master's, I did a dissertation on that and did some research on how important that is. Of course, it's my work too, but it makes a big difference. Mentoring and observations, that they have other teachers that have come in and watch what they're doing, help them. And also that it is data-driven professional development sessions of students and teachers, that the curriculum is based on real, classwork that's been shown to have a good efficacy for students. Family engagement, the idea that parents and families are engaged with teachers and also with these social workers who are going out and finding out what do parents need. Low income families, that's what Head Start is made up of, is that they connect them with resources, local service. They may need food, they may need housing, they may need rather employment. They may need help getting unemployment. One of the things that's happened with this virus is that there are people who lost work and lost their jobs, and their income has been cut. So help in all those kind of ways. Bilingual interpreters for these families, and so and education for parents so that they can help their children also to improve their own lives. And this is facilitated by home visits, the social workers. So these are things that are a part of Head Start, and an essential part of Head Start, and vital. So I'm asking teachers to think about, how they prepare themselves, their mind and their attitude. Are you fun to be around? I mean, you really want to ask yourself, am I really a fun person, to be around? And some people naturally are. They love kids. I see the Head Start programs, and a lot of them on Instagram, and they're sharing a lot of the things that they're doing, and it is wonderful to watch and to see the photos, and some of them have videos, and it is, we do smiling teachers, happy teachers, fun to be around teachers, and it makes a big difference. Do you laugh and smile often? Do you handle stress well? And one of the things I've been sharing, because I do a class on managing stress, teachers managing stress, and there's good stress and there's bad stress. Stress drives us to do better, or it can drive us to fall apart. But if you can handle stress well, you can do a lot with your class. It is stressful today with what's going on with the virus, how we are managing this stress. A lot of teachers that are all over the place, all the way through college, they are having stressful times. But how do we handle the stress so that our children are not adversely affected by how we're feeling? I am gonna just tell a quick story here, but there was a situation, this funny little thing that happened with the kids were with the teacher cleaning the fish tank, and they and somehow something fell, or I forget, she was telling the story, but she was laughing so much she was telling it because it was a very stressful day. But the fish were flopping all over the floor, and she was freaking out, and the kids like trying to get the fish, and we can get them recovered and back into some water. And she was freaking out, so she's looking backwards on it with how the kids were able to keep their wits about them. She said, "I got so stressed out, I didn't know what to do." But anyway, it's funny now. I hope that the fish survive. Are you friendly to children and parents? There are some teachers who are very, very good with the kids. No, it's not so crazy about the parents. Parents come in and they're, rushed, they're rushing in, and they're, and they're, sometimes they're on the cell phone, sometimes they're not, really, engaged with the child as far as, the farewell. And sometimes, the teachers are, ushering the other kids in, but it's so important to be friendly with children and the parents so that the children see you being friendly with their parent. Are you kind and compassionate? Kind words, compassionate hands, how you handle a child. There are little ways to just let a kid know how you feel about them, making them feel good. Do you take responsibility? I just said that, right there, taking responsibility for, if you have an agency that gives you an opportunity to take charge. I mean, some like some self-starter teachers who do a very good job. Sometimes they have to, wing it and do what they need to do and take a responsibility if it goes wrong. And hopefully you're in an environment where it's understood that you did the best that you could, but take a responsibility if it goes wrong. Are you affectionate? And there's again, that goes along with the kindness and so on, but affectionate in the sense of how you feel about kids. Are you genuine about it? Healthy minded, feeling good about yourself, taking good care of yourself. Those are things you do before you get to the school. But once you're there, you can do all kinds of things with kids. You can do exercises on health and how to feel good about yourself, and also in talking with kids about the importance of wearing masks. That's been a big issue for some of the schools. How young should they be able to wear a mask? 2 and under. The CDC says no. And also that it's important that the kids are socially distanced, that they're, because the little ones, they love to play and hug each other, and they got their arms around each other, and they are adorable to watch, and they put their little fingers on you and everything else. And so it's been a scary time for teachers, and some teachers have had a hard time. They've gotten sick, and some teachers have passed on. But anyway, healthy minded in general. I'm also talking about that, and I talk about yoga, and I talk about walking and making sure that you're physically and mentally ready to roll. Are you a goal setter? A lot of you are. You're setting the goals for what you want your classroom to do and accomplish for this year. And do you talk positively about parents and children? Make certain that when you are telling a story, that it is accurate, but also that it is positive. It's best to tell the positive things, particularly when you are, trying to make sure that everyone's getting along, so be accurate about your stories and share positive things. Most people don't mind that you're bragging on them. They don't mind that you are excited about what they're doing at home and so on. So, and then also be sure to talk and share positive things about what their children are doing in class. Parents feel valued when you are taking care of their children. They feel as though you value them as well, because it helps them to be able to do what they're doing when they're not away from when they're away from their children. And many of these parents are working, and a lot of their wages are not so great, and it's a struggle. So they feel valued, at least knowing that their children are in good hands. And this makes a huge difference. So, and also feeling heard, that they know that what they're going through, and not giving them a hard time if they're running late, or giving them a hard time because maybe they didn't get everything that the kid needed, even maybe the kid's not even washed as well. That of course, given that you want to make sure that the kids are safe and all those things, are mandated reported. So, but the thing is that for the most part that you are helping them and not, judging them, but they feel heard. And then their parents are going to come in and tell you, lots of personal things about themselves. And particularly with the social workers, and when they do that, it's because they know you care, and it can be a big enhancement to parent involvement, listening to their stories and making a connection with them. Parents feel their children in good hands. Parents feel supported. Parents can go to work and focus on work. And a lot of these parents are working from home, and sometimes they may have another child who's home from school because school is virtual. So they may have one that's eligible for Head Start program, and the other one is in elementary or high school or middle school, and they're at home. So it's lots of going on. Parents need to know that they are a part of the team, and you all are a team, and that makes a big difference. It's a partnership. You need them, you need the parents to be there. You need the kids to be there, and they need you. So nothing works without the other. It's vital to feel that way and to operate with that kind of attitude. I want to talk here about children and the just a bit here. Well, I probably got too much of it because it's a pet peeve of mine that too much too much television, too much technology. And again, you need technology. I'm using technology to present this training, but at the same time, we got kids that are not outside playing. I'm not talking about, during this virus thing and, and that type of thing. I'm talking about in general, that they're not outside playing and having fun. They're inside. And if those of you around my age and even, younger, so you remember going outside and playing and couldn't, and the parents were yell, come on in, come on in. You didn't want to come in. Now kids, it's hard to get them outside. What am I going to do out here? That's their attitude. It's like, what do we do outside? It's sun, it's hot out here, it's windy out here, and this is, it's actually beautiful out there, but they're so glued to media, they're so glued to technology. So you see some stats here, and one of the things I want you to take a look at is the Kaiser Foundation, the Digital Center. They have some really good information on here about, how much technology kids are getting and what age groups that they're getting at, how much each age group is getting. And one of the things I remember reading is that less than 5% of the kids have a really a monitored situation where parents are saying, very little TV, and I mean, deliberately. So imagine 95% of kids are getting more than, than they need, because they said only 5% were getting a pretty good, or less TV, a balanced low level TV. Heavy TV homes, 34% of 4 to 6 year olds can read. So you can imagine what the opposite is. Less TV homes, 56% of 4 to 6 year olds can read. Because reading a book, the hard book, or the, the book, the real live book, and I don't mean a book that's reading to you a electronic book and so on, but where they have to learn the words. It's just, it's inferior to a real book. And and then also I want to just emphasize here, boys are big on video games. My grandson loves video games, just like most boys, and he's into Minecraft and a lot of these games are virtual, where the kids are having a really good time because they are the character within these programs, and so it's very realistic looking and so on. But an hour or two on it is fine, but 5 6 hours, no, that's too much. And I'm happy to tell you he's a exceptional reader, and he'll tell you his grandma taught him to read. My daughter, she's working and everything else. I've had some time to spend with my grandchildren and love it. But and same thing with my children. When I was raising my kids, and I'm bragging here because I'm a divorced single parent, but both my kids did well in school and went on and got law degrees. And it was deliberate. Not the law degrees, I didn't expect all that, but I'm just saying it was deliberate that they learned to read, because my father was a teacher. So I come from a family of educators. So it was a big deal to me. And my mother is also worked in education and got her bachelor's degree at 73 years old. So, she's always pushing education. She's 86 now. So she's, been college educated for a long time. So I'm emphasizing this because that's the hallmark of Head Start now, moving really seriously into education, and more so as each decade unfolds, that you're seeing more emphasis on the academic aspect of it. Television is inferior to playing with toys, and then also it's important that parents read to their children. It makes a big difference. They can see what their reading levels are. That's why the interpreter and the bilingual, the resources that you can provide for so many parents that that don't speak English or minimal English, they can help. You can help them. So that's some of the things with the outreach of being effective with how you're working with parents. Playing or talking with children, and all these things make a big difference versus video games. Average reading 49 minutes on in really TV and computers is much more than 2 hours for a lot of kids. I have a little bit more on that. And here's another one here on early education intervention, because what I'm asking you to think about is finding a way to talk with parents about this and emphasize the importance of some of the hands-on techniques and versus the game, because there are some educational technology that is important. So this is from the educational technology office of educational technology. So this is it's right here, and you can when you have this, you can just click on it and it takes you right there. So I'll go back to the bed, going to bed and nutritional meals. But anyway, what they're talking about here is technology, when used appropriately, can be a tool for learning, and that it should be used to increase access to learning opportunities for all children. And how technology can be used to strengthen relationships among parents and families and early educators and young children. And technology is more effective for learning when adults and peers interact or co-view with young children. And that's what you'll see. You'll see a lot of kids that are by themselves and they're occupying themselves. And everybody's, either the parents are on cell phones or they're on their, devices, or they're working from home, and everybody's, on technology, and the kids are doing things, but they're not getting the benefit of these, of what they could be learning from it. So these are some of the things that you can work, with parents and effectively try to get them to see this point of view. Again, but I do want to make this point, and I have not missed this, is that because of COVID's and the shutdown in March of last year, and there was some upset, going on, and as far as schooling, and even the Head Start programs and childcare was affected. So they were the first ones to go back. You all were one of the first ones to go back. And then in some schools that are around the country, kids are not back in the classroom. And there's pros and cons about that. I understand, and I understand how teachers feel. So what's happened is this, that children have had to rely on technology in order to learn. So I get that. That is very important in the sense that another aspect of this, that kids are also, because of the poverty and some of the places that they live, they don't have broadband access. And so they're not getting the instruction that they need, so I don't want to be contradictory about it, because there are kids who in affluent areas, they got they go home with a tablet that's provided by the school, and the parents have access and whatever. And so we have kids who are struggling, and parents are struggling, and the kids don't have the books at home, and they don't have the technology. So that's all, to be mindful of the things that I'm saying. So giving the situation and giving the needs of that household, how important it is to have a balance. But when you have nothing, that's a problem. And because so many businesses were hit, the outreach, the resources dried up as well. So I just want to make sure that I'm expressing to you what I'm saying. In the perfect world, everything going well, let's not be so reliant on technology. In what we're going through now, if kids have the access to hear what a teacher is saying, and what their instruction is, they will do better than a kid that has nothing. And so we want to be mindful of that. Educational gains, of course, and then exposure to culture, music, art, and dance. A lot of parents are receptive to this. You all have, artists that come in and invite the parents to come, be a part of it, dance, because we don't know where the genius is going to lie. And it just makes a whole lot of sense. So I hope that that's a part of it. Patiently talk with parents and caregivers. Do not yell, threaten, or ridicule or shame a child. A lot of you, would never do that. Sometimes old school people are like, if you make them feel a little bad, they'll do better. But it typically doesn't work. You may have good intentions, but it doesn't help a child to feel good if they are struggling, with whatever motor skills or learning skills and so on. When you're not studying hard, what are you doing? Put that down and everything else. Gently and don't make them feel bad because sometimes they're doing what they know to do because they feel bad because they're not getting or understanding the concept. Remember to show empathy and support. Very important, that you are being able to empathize with these kids. And as I mentioned, there's some kids who don't have the resources, so they're having a hard time. And the families are having a hard time, much less, trying to provide technology and computers, trying to put food on the table. So these are trying times. Always find something to praise the kids. You have dimples, you have muscles, curly hair, whatever they're working on, point out something, good that they're doing, and at the same time, give them the tips on what they need to do to improve. Encourage realistic goal setting. It won't happen overnight, but the thing about it is this, is that some parents are worried about their children, their motor skills and their academic levels, and helping them to understand that overnight, some kids wake up and they got it. And overnight, sometimes it doesn't happen. You know what I mean? So we got to wait until the kid's ready. And some kids are come right out the womb, seem to be ready. See these little ones down here, they're just here coloring, they're scribbling, and they're making masterpieces. They are. And this little boy right here, he's a programmer. And you see this little kid right here, he's happy with his family. So all these things make a huge difference. Be honest with parents about child's readiness and behavior to the best of your ability, and together make a plan with parents and caregivers. 12 positive ways to make a difference. Smile and talk positively. It makes a big difference. I mean, these are, times where, like I said, stressful times, and it's easy to gripe, and it's been wearing on a lot of people. And we just had this big cold front too. Each day be well prepared, and try to have some foresight as to what do I need, to make this a positive day. Listen attentively to children concerns. If kids are coming to you and they're saying that I'm hungry, or they're saying that the house is cold, or they're saying that the lights aren't on, those are things to, to take some action and find out what needs to be done, getting with the social worker. That there are resources that the kids or the families can have, and get the help that they need. Because kids who are going through a situation, they're not going to learn. They're not going to feel good or comfortable where they are because they're going to be too worried and distracted, and they tend to act up when they're going through a difficult time. So listen attentively to children concerns, things about hitting. Child abuse is up, and so is domestic violence. So kids are, when they're comfortable with you, they tend to share a lot. Listen attentively to parents concerned about their child. So if they're saying that, the kid is upset, or the kid is, seems to be, shy or not getting along with the other kids, ask them. And then one of the things I posted a couple of times on some of the parenting sites, there were some teachers like, well, how do we get this kid to socialize and so on? I said, well, one of the things that you can do is to ask this kid to be your helper. Help me pass out the papers, help me. Because he's not, really connecting with the other children, that he will maybe do some things with you. And then the other kids see him doing these things, and then they become more receptive to them. Provide and reinforce rules and structure in the classroom. The rules should be posted. This is what we do. The to-do list. How we go walk to the bathroom, how we go outside, the things that we have to do, how we prepare for our lessons. A lot of teachers are very rule based, and it's very important that there are rules about no hitting, no spitting, all that. I mean, you don't have to go into all these. Most kids know. Well, you said no hitting, but you didn't say no spitting. And some of those are the smart alecky ones, but but you don't need to put all that on there. They know, keep your hands to yourself, and treat each other with respect. Structure in the classroom. Classrooms that are structured make a huge difference. There are a lot of teachers who know the value of a structured classroom. how you start the day off. You have a morning, a recitation that you're doing, the good morning song or the welcome song, or, we talk about the weather song or whatever it is that you're doing. Maybe it's sharing peace. Kids look forward to things that you do on a habitual basis. And that structured classroom helps with classroom management. And you've seen, those who come in and who have subbed in rooms, they say, well, you didn't do it like Miss Johnson. This is what we do. And when I've been in the classroom, I always tell a kid, why don't you show me how? What is the teacher do? Why don't you lead it today? And they feel so good. They're helping me, but they're also are helping to manage the classroom. So a structure, the reason why it works so well is that the kids are used to a structure and they feel more comfortable. Help all students to succeed by learning a variety of teaching techniques. This is on your part to being able to teach from a level of understanding that some kids are auditory, some kids are visual, and some kids are tactile, and so they need to touch things, they may need to smell things, they may need to get their hands in it. I have teachers that don't want to get their hands dirty. And then when you're working with young kids, that's a part of it, hand washing, of course, all that kind of stuff for the virus and everything else. But these kids like to play in the sandbox, and they like to play in the mud, they like to play in the Play-Doh and all these things. They like to play in the water. So whatever it is that you're doing, have a basis of learning related to it. And be able to get down on the floor with them, and do these things. I've seen great teachers do this. It makes a difference. And cooperative learning, I mentioned that early, where kids are together solving a problem, manipulatives that they're using to count or to problem solve or to a science experiment, all these type of things that they're doing and reporting back as a group. This is what our group did. I love it when little kids do that. And they're so excited and they look like little corporate little kids, and it is very good and very good self-esteem boosting. We alert to problems and use a positive discipline, and I think it's very important that how we discipline that kids learn from it versus feeling punished by it. Let me give an example. I had a situation several years ago. I was working with a program, and one of the things that came up, they were telling in retrospect how two teachers lost their job. But anyway, what had happened was that one lady was having a problem with one of the boys and didn't get along with and didn't like him. And so she decided that she wasn't giving him his snack. And this went on for a long period of time. Well, no matter what he did, he could never rectify the situation, which you shouldn't take the snack away anyway. But she wouldn't give him a snack. So he would sit there and not have a snack. And finally, the mother got wind of it. But the problem was that there were two teachers in the room. The other teacher did not agree with it, but because she didn't want to, make her co-teacher feel bad or tell on her or whatever, they both lost their jobs. So, and because the one is using a negative discipline technique, and what she thought was just mean. But be alert to those type of things. So, be alert to using, the best, possible remedies for children to address behavior. But there will be problems. So be alert to problems and how to use some better techniques and positive discipline. It doesn't seem like they go together, but positive discipline. So the kids are going to do better. Teach children to value themselves. What they do as far as preparing for their day, zipping their coats, putting their hats on, putting their coats on, things like that. But also and how they talk to themselves, that they use kind words toward themselves. I'm smart, I can do this. I'm strong, I can do it, and they value themselves in a way that it becomes, I don't want to use this word again, self-efficacy. That's what they say, this idea about working effectively with parents is that we have children come out more confident and able to plan their lives and their futures. So they value themselves, encourage them to do their best and to take risks and also help children to focus on positives. I do think it's important that no matter where they are, that they do look at what they're doing, that is, that, you know, their effort, and that's a good thing. Focus on the positive things about themselves. And then also teach children to be self-reliant. I want to emphasize this: self-reliant and self-discipline. Self-reliant in the sense that they know how to help clean up. I'm surprised at how many parents think that, a 2-year-old can wipe stuff up. And you'll see that some parents like worry about, oh, no, 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 let me do that. And let the kids help clean up their messes. Let the kids help put chairs away and pick up things off the floor and things like that. And not just drop things on the floor because the janitor's coming. It's disrespectful to the janitor for one thing. And they want to be, it's their classroom. It's like it's their home. And so, and also to self-discipline. If they feel themselves getting upset, have a safe place. So there's some kids that have some emotional things going on, maybe some stressors at home and maybe some internal things. We don't know all the things without, a thorough assessment. But if you have a safe place that they can go and sit, they can hug a teddy bear, they can hug the elephant, they can read a book, and they'll tell you, I need to go to a safe place. And so let them go. The thing is don't let them use it as a way to not cooperate with the day, because some kids rather go self-soothe and they can do their own thing when they need to be doing, cooperative things and being part of the classroom. So 5 minutes, you can go over there 5 minutes, have a timer on it, and then bring them back into the fold. Start each day with enthusiasm. If you got to fake it, sometimes you do. Sometimes there's long days, and sometimes it's a long period of time. You can't wait to get to the break or wait to get to, the weekend, or, and some, shut down for the summer. A lot of programs now are going all year round, but a lot of some of the Head Start programs that I work with, they shut down for the summer. So, and the kids are home and they figure something out, and the parents figure something out. But more and more of these Head Start programs are all year round. And so you're looking for that weekend. But so it's like, oh God, how do I get excited today? And so sometimes you have to fake it. I've shared the story several times, but I had a lady years ago, and she happened to be a social worker for children's services. And she shared that I don't like kids. She shared this in class. I was working with this job and family service agency in their district. So it took 2 years to train, probably about 1,000 people. I was doing 6-hour training. And I had this one lady to come up, and she said, one of the trainers, and she said, I like kids. And she's a children's service worker. And we're doing customer service training. And I said, what do you mean? And she says, I never liked kids. Well, how did you become a children's service worker, a social worker for children's services? And advocacy is to help kids, protect kids, and and help parents and do what you need to do. And she said, well, and she kind of paused there. I told her, thank you for your honesty, but you know what I'm going to tell you? You got to find a new job. You can't fake enthusiasm when you don't feel connected to your work. And she was the most extreme case I've ever had. But I appreciate her honesty. And sometimes I think people are honest that way. And I did think about when Paul's may hear about this if we weren't all in the room, but she did say it. And I just said, sometimes people need a little nudging along. Is that you can't get enthusiastic about what you do. Find something that you want to do. And as you start making that exit, then you can take enthusiasm because you're going on to something you really want to do. But those extreme situations, most people are able to at least fake it even when they have a bad day, because the kids need to see it. 12 positive practices for managing difficult behavior in the classroom. This is one of the things that we're really connecting with parents on, is that parents, when they see teachers as role models in the classroom, they get an idea of what they can do with their child. You're modeling behavior for a parent, this is how we handle kids when they act a certain way. And it's very, deliberate, and it makes a big difference. So be that positive teacher role model. Make expectations clear with a pre-planned discussion, how you get kids to, walk quietly down a hallway, and to stay to one side, and to, or when you're going on a field trip, who they're paired with, and the things that they need to do for cleanup. All these things are done by teachers, and they're working with maybe 10 kids each, or whatever the ratio that you all can do, but it's amazing. And then you'll see a parent come in, they got one kid, can't do anything with one kid. Got two, oh boy, what a big problem. So the parents are watching you do all these things. So if you're able to do this and get kids to manage well, you are an example for parents. So make expectations clear with a pre-planned discussions with your kids, and then you're really setting children up to be really good workers later on in life as well. Select a word or signal for a child and teacher. A lot of teachers and kids, something they know this, put your finger in the mouth, it means be quiet. They also know, um, things like, when you put your hands and you move them down, like, okay, quiet down. Some people use the light, some people use a bell, and some people they say bubbles, and then the kids know, put a bubble in it, and then sometimes they'll poke their little cheeks out. The little ones, I love it when they do like little fish. The little ones would do anything because it's fun. And but those type of signals, and of course when we grew up, that look we got from our parents, that was our signal. All right, that's enough. And then there's also teachers who are working together. You got the lead teacher in the room, you got the co-teacher in the room, and you all, and as I mentioned, it's so important that you are educated in the sense that you are accomplish, and I admire it. And I talk about, about the pay scale. Again, I want to talk about that because it's an important issue. But what I'm saying is this, is that you don't get a break from the kids, having your own lunch break. That's been a pet peeve of mine for many years with Head Start. And I get it, I do. At the same time, you need a break. So what signal do you give to the other teacher? I'm going to the restroom. I might be gone a little bit, but you need to go and get a little bit of a breather from the kids, because you're eating with them, you're doing everything with them. And we're talking, sometimes an 8-hour day. Or you got, sometimes there's morning groups, and then there's the afternoon groups. And there's not a whole lot of time in between. So I admire what you do, but I'm also saying that you also need to signal to your director, or a social worker, or to each other, when you also need a break. So that break works for both teachers and the students. Follow through with consequences. If the consequences are appropriate, and I know they are, but I'm saying follow through with them. If you don't feel comfortable with the consequences, and then you're probably thinking, well, gee, why should I bother with it today, and whatever. If you don't have consequences, you're going to get the same behavior. So there need to be consequences that are going to give you positive results. Follow through with them. Otherwise, the kids just hear you upset and don't see, well, okay, nothing's going to be done about it. They're going to keep doing it. Offer the child some choices. Either you do this, or I'm going to do that. Let me give an example. I always talk about these kids nowadays who don't want to wear a coat. They don't want to wear a coat. And so the parents like, I can't make him put on a coat. And I'm like, well, gee whiz, there's just a little person right here. Here's a choice. Are you going to put the coat on, or I'm going to put the coat on? And this starts young. You don't wait till 10 years old and then decide you're going to put on a 10-year-old coat, much less a 15-year-old coat. You know what I mean? Is that give them a choice, but the choice is what you want them to do. So it's very important to do that. I think that we sometimes give kids too much leeway. And again, I'm a voting grandmother, and I was never a hitter. Never, my grandchildren have never been spanked. They've never been hit. They lose constantly. They do get consequences. And for the most part, they're, pretty good kids, but they do get choices. This is how it's going to be. This is the choice, blah, blah, blah. It works. Um, Give child responsibilities. They have duties. duties for kids to do, and it makes sense that there's a job charts that are going on. Parents see this. Everything that you're doing in a classroom is something that a parent can do at home. And I'm not saying it's got to be, because yes, they get to hug and kiss the kids and everything else, and it's all those other things that are special about being a parent. But the child rearing and the helping a kid to develop good social skills and cooperation and all those things are things that teachers can the teachers do. And parents are amazed. How did you get them to do that? Because you're good at what you do, and it makes sense. And so giving them responsibility, reward positive behavior, don't ignore it. What I mean by is that some people say, well, we should be acting good now. No, reward that with great job, Johnny, great job, Michaela, great job, Antoine, and they'll do it again. So that's how we do it. It's just like an adult. If you don't tell them that they've done a good job, then they're thinking, well, gee whiz, when I have a problem, then they're all on me. So the praise is important. Always model behavior that you want, very important to do. Of course, that says it, it says it in itself, is that if we don't want our kids yelling and screaming, don't yell and scream. Use your inside voice. All those things make sense, and that's all you want it. Remain consistent if the results are positive. And when I'm doing a parent training, I used to do foster adoptive parents every Saturday. This went on for almost 20 years. Every Saturday I was somewhere in Ohio doing a foster or an adoptive parent training. And I talked about, being consistent. But, and I have parents say, well, I'm being consistent. Well, okay, how's it working? It's not working. Well, you need to change. Only be consistent if you're getting positive results. I get some parents, well, I said I was going to do it this way, and that's what I'm going to do. And then I talk to them, they're telling the kid that. And the thing is that the kid's still doing what they're going to do. And sometimes what happens is this, it becomes mean. Let me give an example. I had a lady that told her child that who was very good in basketball, and she had a problem. The girl had a problem, and she told her, you're not playing basketball. That doesn't work in the sense you're taking away something that the kid needs to do in order to learn and to become part of a team situation. There are other things that you can take away, and versus something that the kid is good at and would be beneficial in. So because it wasn't working, all it did was build was more resentment. The kid cried and everything else, and it was just trying to get the parent to understand is that that's not that's that type of discipline and being consistent about it. And she continued with this until the whole season was over with. Even the coach came and talked to her, the social worker came and talked to her, the principal talked to her, and she felt that, well, no, I'm gonna be consistent. So she brought it to class because she probably needed to hear another person. But sometimes people get really, rigid about, I'm not going to change anything until the season is over with. Anyway, unfortunate. Never withhold affection or praise. Very important to praise kids and to affection. Of course, you're mindful what type of affection to give kids. Some kids are big kissers. The little ones, the babies and so on, the toddlers and stuff like that. So not now with the COVID thing going on, but at the same time, our kids, you cannot kiss them. You're not supposed to do all those type of things, but sometimes they sneak you a kiss, and I've seen it, the things like that. Don't withhold affection because you're angry, or don't withhold affection because don't want to say nice things to a kid. Always praise, and you can teach them how to do little, some people do. Teachers, they have little funny handshakes or different things of greeting for each child. So things like that. There are ways to be affectionate that have nothing to do with, the kissing and all that type of stuff. There's ways to touch and ways that let a kid know that you feel good about them. Never hold a grudge against a child or a parent. Kids acting up, don't hold a grudge. They have a problem. And I have teachers who have been upset about it. It happened. You have the kid 2 years ago, and well, that's here he is, and they're talking about him. Let it go. And some kids will even, they grow up immature, and the adult is still upset about it. And the same thing with a parent. They're mad about the parent because the parent was acting up one day, cursing or whatever, and they're still giving each other side eye. Let it go. Don't hold grudges. Ask a parent for suggestions if they're working, pretty well at home with the kids. Sometimes kids act up at school, but they're doing well at home. Ask the parent whether they're doing at home. Sometimes there are children who are well behaved at school but act up at home. If a kid can behave in one place or the other, they can do it at both places. You just need to find out what that technique is and how it's being utilized. And I mean a positive technique. Now, this is our last session here, 10 ways to effectively work with parents. And again, it's like a combination of some of the things that we've already talked about. But what I want to emphasize here is that while we are thinking about our parents as our partners, and we're thinking about ourselves as advocates, and of course, when I talk about this, I think in terms of being in your shoes. So I say we. I know you all are doing the work, but I feel, in a kinship to what you all do, because I've been working with Head Start so long. I love Head Start. I love what you do. And I think it's very important. And I've just watched Head Start just grow into this really, I think a powerful program that is vitally needed and will always be a part of, the government funding. There's always going to be a part of it. Listen attentively to parents and child concerns. This is how you work with them, by paying attention to what their concerns are. Like I mentioned earlier, if the kids coming in saying that they're hungry, saying that the lights are off, this is how you connect, get the resources that they need, get the people in your buildings who are in charge of these programs or this type of outreach, and get them connected. Greet each child and parent each morning, afternoon by name. Good morning, Kayla. Good morning, Jerome. Good morning, Mrs. Brown, or if you call her Maxine or whatever. You get to know people. I have people who the kids come in and they're happy to see the kids. The kids are running running and giving them a hug. They don't say anything to the parent. Give the parents on the phone, wave at them. Give the parent a smile. That parent may make good sweet potato pie or a good apple pie, or whatever you need for the celebration, and get them connected. So what I'm saying is this, is that you want them to feel as though that the Head Start is an extension of their life, and that they're a part of it, and you all are a community, and it's a family type situation. So it works. I've seen some wonderful things where parents will come in with ideas for activities, and they've helped in the classroom, fathers and mothers and grandparents as well. It makes a difference. Let parents know right away if there are any issues. I don't care if it's a little teeny weeny little scratch. And if a kid cried over it, let the parent know. If you need to document anything, of course, anything big, you need to document, of course. But even if it looks like not a big deal, because the kid goes home and then the teacher didn't tell me this, and then they're calling you up, well, because the kid cried, so it's a big deal. So let the parent know rather right away if there was anything that happened, or maybe child got bitten, or a finger got smashed, or a block was thrown and they got hit, whatever it is. And so a lot of you know all this. I've had some situation where people learned the hard way, and they just thought it was no big deal. I never argue with a parent in the classroom or in front of a child. This is, an absolute no-no. Wait until the kid, and you have opportunity. If you're a teacher, you can't leave the room, but you're going to have to connect with that teacher later, or let the director handle it, which is sometimes more appropriate. But never argue with the parent, because that parent is going to show off in front of their child. They're going to escalate things. and it's not going to be, it's not going to look good. It's going to create a lot of animosity and a lot of stress for the child. So let it go, and even try to keep your, yourself as neutral as possible and your face as neutral as possible, and let it go. And then find another way to be able to resolve this. If you need to make a phone call, I mean a pleasant phone call to resolve some issues, or let someone else handle it. And I think that's appropriate. Let parents know of upcoming and immediate changes in the classroom. If there are changes in the sense of a teacher has gone on and, left the agency, the kid needs to know it, let the parent know that the kid is not going to see Miss Barbara, or the janitor has left, or heaven forbid someone is passed on, or even if the turtle died, send a message to the parents so that the kids know that something's different, and that they're going to be okay. But let them know so that if there are any changes in the classroom or building, or anyone that they interact with, that the parent needs to know ahead of time so they can help with the child. Be sure to share positive things about the child with the parent. I talked about that earlier. They need to hear, those things. They got to write a note. And some parents, I have some teachers that are getting a note from a parent at the end of the day, every day, some little note, great job, whatever, or some type of check mark type thing or whatever. If anything, astounding happened, definitely, they need to know. Send notes and calendars and reports home to busy parents. There's some parents that are so busy, they are overwhelmed, and not, a lot, some parents don't work. I understand that, and can't work, or haven't found a job, or whatever the situation is. But there are some parents who are working, and a lot of them, single moms, see these phenomenal single moms. They're working, and they happen to be able to qualify for a Head Start program. Great for them. I've seen parents who just rely on it, but then they can't make it to some of these activities. And so send a note home, remind us about what's on the calendar, what's coming up, what's happening for birthdays, what's happening for holidays, what's happening for field trips, because a busy parent forgets that, okay, we're wearing the blue shirt or the purple shirt or something blue or purple in a shirt, and the kid comes home and said, well, you didn't tell me, you didn't get it ready for me, or you didn't sign the teacher note or whatever, or the field trip, paper or whatever. And then thing is that the parent forgot. It's not that they're incompetent, they just forgot. Give me there, let me go back here. Start each day on a positive note. Always wish a child or parent a farewell greeting. Bye, have a good day, have a great weekend. All those things make a difference. What I have also at the end of every training is an action plan. We put into place, and the participants do this individually. And I want you to think about this. Think about your program. Think about some of the things that we talked about today. And what's your action plan? What 3 things would you do as a result of the course today? And of course, I only do it, in 60 minutes, but I normally would do something that, maybe take a half a day or all day, or on a webinar, maybe 2 or 3 hours with questions, interspersed, and stop for group activities and so on. So 3 things we do as a result of the course. You can email them to me, go into the chat, for what's it called, WOVA. I might have said it wrong, but it's new to me. I think it's fascinating. I'm looking forward to hearing from you all. But thank you, and I hope you have a great conference, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Thank you for inviting me, and I hope you enjoyed the course. Bye-bye.